A rapidly intensifying weather system is expected to cause a lot of problems, bringing heavy snowfall across the northeast and a severe weather outbreak across the south this weekend before the polar vortex brings down record-breaking low temperatures into the central U.S. In this video, I'm going to show you what to expect from all these weather events, but first, please hit the like button, subscribe for more weather updates, and comment below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the forecast. Here's a look at the simulated precipitation on the Euro model. You can see some rain and snowfall across the western U.S. This is kind of what's left of the big atmospheric river that hit California yesterday. We're kind of seeing a new low pressure area forming just east of the Rockies in Kansas, and this is what's kicking off this big winter storm and severe weather event. Here's a look at pretty much Saturday morning. You have heavy rainfall across the south and part of the Ohio Valley, and this is going to lead to some significant flooding problems. And then you could see some snow further north across Michigan, Wisconsin, even Pennsylvania, kind of the Great Lakes area. And then kind of a new area of low pressure forms as this turns into a big severe weather event across the south, along with the flooding, but definitely severe weather potential across the south, like Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, even parts of Tennessee. And then this powerful line of thunderstorms along the cold front really pushes eastward Saturday evening, Saturday night, and then reaches into the southeast going into Sunday morning. And then you have, notice this really blows up. This is actually a very rapidly intensifying system, basically a bomb cyclone. There's going to be a lot of snow even across parts of the Ohio Valley, like Indiana and Ohio and Michigan, the Great Lakes, especially the eastern Great Lakes area, and then also parts of the northeast could see some pretty heavy snowfall, especially Saturday night going into Sunday. This gets to 979 millibars. That's a pretty strong system, so there's also going to be some strong winds with that, too. And then you could just see very heavy snowfall across the northeast. And then going into Sunday night, the system really moves out into the Atlantic and kind of eastern Canada with all that heavy snowfall. And then you have a lot colder air coming down. As you see, just very cold temperatures will start moving into the U.S. starting next week. And notice there's also some more rain and snowfall across the northwest, kind of also going into the northern Rockies and the plains. And this kind of could create another snow event by the middle of next week. Tuesday night going into Wednesday, you could see another snow event possibly across the south and maybe severe weather down along the Gulf Coast. But then there's the potential for possibly a stronger snowstorm with all these cold temperatures really in place. Wait until you see the temperature anomalies. This is record low temperatures expected, but basically across the mid-Atlantic, it looks like there is the potential for a heavy snow event according to this run of the Euro model. Yeah, that's definitely possible if you have any moisture interacting with these colder temperatures. And then after that, things quiet down and actually things warm up after this powerful Arctic blast moves through. So that's pretty much what's going to be happening over the next week and a half. Here's a better look at this significant winter storm and severe weather event. This is the HRRR simulated radar, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, February 15th. You have heavy rainfall across Kentucky especially. All these thunderstorms right here are just training, and that's why it's such a big flooding risk. And then you have this strong cold front that really starts developing, and then by Saturday afternoon into the evening, you have that powerful cold front, and along that front, you're going to have severe thunderstorms and the potential for strong winds especially, but also some tornadoes. There's the potential, we'll have to see if some supercells are able to develop out in front of that line of storms. Conditions out in front of there would be very favorable for severe thunderstorms and possibly a few significant tornadoes, but the biggest tornado risk could probably be along the line of storms, kind of embedded strong tornadoes, but also wind is going to be a big thing too. And then notice that heavy snowfall really across Indiana, Michigan, and then also the Northeast. The SPC has an enhanced risk of severe weather, a pretty big enhanced risk that they've had actually for a while. So we've been expecting this severe weather event for a few days, and Jackson, Mississippi is under that. Even Memphis is in on the enhanced risk of severe weather. And then you have a big slight risk around that across pretty much covering all of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, even going towards Nashville, Tennessee, Little Rock, Arkansas, kind of between the marginal and the slight risks. Even eastern Texas in on this too, the Florida Panhandle. So a pretty big area of severe weather, but especially this enhanced risk is where the biggest, with a 10% significant chance of tornadoes, a 10% hatched risk with potential for strong tornadoes is definitely there with this. And that's for northeastern Louisiana, southeastern Arkansas, and kind of northern Mississippi. And even Memphis is in that 10% significant tornado risk. And then you have a 30% chance of damaging wind gusts across the same enhanced risk area. So this is both a wind and tornado enhanced risk. The hail, not so significant. Mostly a wind and tornado event. Another look at the simulated radar zoomed in on the southeast. Notice there's kind of some thunderstorms out in front of this line, but according to the HRRR, they're not really doing anything. Once they start kind of merging with the line, that could cause some significant problems. But the area that would be under the biggest tornado risk in this whole area is actually part of the line of storms. So that's kind of where it looks like the biggest severe weather potential is going to be. Strong winds and tornadoes with that line of storms. The instability is definitely there. Out in front of this is at 3 p.m. Central Time. You have like 2,000 joules of CAPE in some of these places, especially like western Mississippi in that highest risk of severe weather. So there's definitely enough instability for this. The STP, the significant tornado parameter, is pretty decent, especially across that enhanced, 10% significant tornado area. The significant tornado parameter is somewhere between like a 4 and 7, which is pretty high. It's not extreme, but it is definitely favorable for a couple tornadoes if everything lines up. And so this is a pretty dynamic system and everything. So that's why it's going to be generating a lot of severe weather potential. But these thunderstorms aren't just going to lead to severe weather. It's also heavy rainfall and flooding. The Weather Prediction Center has a day 2 high risk of excessive rainfall, at least a 70% chance of flash flooding because of the heavy rain, especially over Kentucky. Like we saw all those thunderstorms just training over the same area, bringing a lot of rainfall. That's why they have a high risk of flooding with this, especially across western Kentucky and northwestern Tennessee. And then a moderate risk goes all the way from northeastern Arkansas up to Ohio and West Virginia, and then a bigger slight risk around that across most of the South and the Ohio Valley. Further north, that heavy rain will actually turn into some pretty heavy snowfall. Here's a look at the National Weather Service kind of snowfall forecast, and this is going all the way through Monday afternoon. Probably 6 to 8 inches of snow for most of Wisconsin. And then the upper peninsula of Michigan could see over a foot of snow, especially closer to Lake Superior. And then the Glove part of Michigan could also see in some places almost 1.5 feet of snow, especially in northern Michigan. And then further south, closer to like Detroit, they could see around 6 to 8 inches of snowfall. Cleveland, Ohio could see probably 4 to 6 inches of snowfall. Downwind of Lake Erie, you could see in some places 1 to 2 feet of snowfall. And then downwind of Lake Ontario, you could see in upstate New York over 2 feet of snowfall in some areas north of Syracuse, New York. And the thing is, behind the winter storm, you could actually have some additional snowfall downwind of those lakes, depending on where these lake effect snow bands set up as that cold air rushes down across those lakes. And then the Northeast, a lot of places seeing a few inches to even up to a foot, maybe even closer to 2 feet of snowfall. Further south, like at some point, there's going to be some areas that only see like a couple inches of snow, like even Pennsylvania, only looking at mostly just like a few inches of snow. New York City might only get 1 to 2 inches, but further north, a lot heavier snow, even potentially they're showing over 2 feet of snow in northern Maine as well. And behind this big winter storm, it's also going to get very cold. We're looking at some record low temperatures expected in the central part of the U.S. by the middle of next week. Notice what happens on the temperature anomalies. You have some well below average temperatures just getting ready to really punch down into the central U.S. This is even on like Monday and Tuesday. You see these temperatures really building, especially in southwestern Canada, going into the northern plains, even Montana, temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below average, even affecting the plains and even parts of the Midwest already by Tuesday. And then notice what happens is really just piles up, and you have temperatures 50 to even 55 degrees below average across Montana on Tuesday night. And then notice temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below average in Kansas, Nebraska. This is really hitting the central plains pretty hard by Wednesday night and Thursday. Then it really moves even further south and really expands across the south, parts of the south, even with temperatures 25 to 30 degrees below average. And then it's heading towards Texas, with some temperatures even across Kansas and Missouri, 40 degrees below average by Thursday night. But Texas could see at some point seeing temperatures 35 degrees below average, possibly with this. That's some significant Arctic air bringing down some very cold temperatures, and then it stays around. You could even have, this is going into the end of next week, going into the weekend, Saturday, February 22nd, so next Saturday, you have still some below average temperatures, but then, notice after that Arctic blast, things kind of warm up to average or maybe even above average in a lot of places. So that's a pretty significant Arctic blast. And these are some record low temperatures. Especially, it looks like the most intense Arctic air could be kind of Wednesday going to Thursday. This is the temperatures on Wednesday. Some record lows in the negative teens across the northern and central plains. Perhaps even around 0 degrees for Oklahoma. And then going into Texas, low temperatures in the single digits in Texas. Even record lows down in the upper teens to low 20s, even in southern Texas. So this is going all the way down to South Texas, and even Louisiana, possibly the Gulf Coast is even a little bit of the Gulf Coast is in on this. Definitely a powerful Arctic blast bringing down record low temperatures. We're in mid to late February. Things on average will be kind of warming up, but we're seeing still yet another Arctic blast affecting the U.S., especially going all the way down to Texas. And yeah, here's a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, February 20th to 24th. Well below average temperatures, very cold, especially across the southeast with these well below average temperatures. Definitely a very intense weather pattern happening over the next week or so. And then, but also very dry, especially across the southwest. That's not good, really, but yeah, just basically cold and dry for a lot of locations, even extending across most of the U.S., below average precipitation. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share the video, comment below, and most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications for more weather updates. Extreme Weather Zone, out.